Think 2025 is just a placeholder before the big 2026 regulation overhaul? Think again. Formula One is making some pretty interesting rule changes this season, and while they might not be as dramatic as what's coming in 2026, they will impact the way teams approach races, strategy calls, and even car design. So let's dive into all the key rule changes for the 2025 season. No more fastest lap point. It's gone. Since 2019, drivers finishing in the top 10 have been able to snatch an extra point by setting the fastest lap. It's led to some exciting moments. Late pit stops for fresh tires, dramatic push laps in the final moments, but it's also been controversial. Why? Because sometimes a car outside the top 10 could pit, set the fastest lap, and essentially steal the point from someone actually fighting for the championship. And let's be honest, a driver in P15 setting the fastest lap just for fun never really made sense. So in 2025, that extra point is gone. No more fastest lap points. The scoring system otherwise stays the same. Points for the top 10 in a Grand Prix and top 8 in a sprint. What do you think? Will this change racing strategies, or is it just a minor tweak? Let me know in the comments. F1's battle against the heat. New driver cooling rules. If you thought F1 races were tough, imagine driving in extreme heat for nearly 2 hours while wearing fireproof gear inside a cockpit that feels like an oven. In places like Singapore and Qatar, drivers have finished races completely drained, some even struggling to get out of the car. Well, F1 is doing something about it. If the weather forecast predicts track temperatures of 31 degrees Celsius, about 88 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, the FIA will declare a heat hazard. And when that happens, every car on the grid must be equipped with a driver cooling system. Now, this isn't just a tiny fan blowing air at the driver. We're talking about a special fireproof shirt with tubes running through it, pumping cooling liquid around the driver's body, kind of like a high-tech ice vest. But here's the catch. Because of this new cooling system, the FIA is increasing the car's minimum weight. Cars will be 2 kilograms heavier during practice and qualifying and a full 5 kilograms heavier in the actual races. Will this make a big difference in performance? Maybe, but one thing's for sure, drivers will be a lot more comfortable in extreme heat. Less track time for regular drivers, more for rookies. Young drivers trying to break into F1 have had limited opportunities to actually drive an F1 car. So the FIA is stepping in and saying, let the rookies have more time. Since 2022, teams have been required to give rookies at least 2 FP1 sessions per season, 1 in each of their cars. But for 2025, that number doubles. That means every team now has to put a rookie in FP1 4 times per season. This could be a huge deal for young talents trying to prove themselves. Maybe we'll see more teams testing F2 stars, or even potential 2026 drivers getting an early feel for F1 machinery. Could this lead to some surprise driver changes in the future? Maybe. Keep an eye on those FP1 sessions next year. Stricter rules on DRS and flexible wings. DRS has always been a bit controversial. It's meant to help overtaking by reducing drag on the straights, but teams have always been looking for loopholes to squeeze out extra performance. In recent years, teams started developing mini DRS concepts, where parts of the rear wing would flex at high speeds, even without the DRS being open. Basically, an invisible aero trick to reduce drag and go faster on the straights. The FIA wasn't having any of it. In 2025, they're cracking down hard. The rear wing can now only have 2 positions, fully open or fully closed. No sneaky half-open flex tricks. They're also increasing the force used in tests to check for wing flex. Previously, the FIA tested wings with 10 newtons of force, but in 2025, they'll apply 30 newtons, meaning if a wing bends too much, it won't pass scrutineering. This means teams will have to design stiffer wings, potentially affecting performance and top speed. Could we see some teams struggling to adapt? We'll find out soon enough. What happens if qualifying gets canceled? The new backup plan. Imagine this, it's a race weekend and qualifying gets completely washed out by rain. No laps set, no times on the board. What happens then? Previously, the FIA had to scramble to come up with a solution. But now, there's a clear rule. If a qualifying session can't take place, the race grid will be set by the current Drivers' Championship standings. This means that if, let's say, we're at round 5 and qualifying is rained out, the driver leading the championship automatically gets pole position. And if it's the first race of the season, the FIA stewards get to decide how to set the grid. A fair solution or a potential disaster waiting to happen? Let me know what you think. 2025's special Mule car test for 2026 tires. Finally, 2025 will see a unique test at the end of the season in Abu Dhabi. Why? Because the 2026 F1 cars will have totally different tire specifications. Teams will be required to run a Mule car, basically a modified F1 car that can simulate the expected performance of 2026 regulations. These tests will help Pirelli design the next generation of F1 tires before the major rule changes take effect. This means 2025's Abu Dhabi test could give us our first real hint at how the 2026 cars might behave. Definitely something to look forward to. So there you have it, the key F1 rule changes for 2025. Some will shake things up more than others, but one thing's for sure, teams will need to adapt fast. Which of these rule changes do you think will have the biggest impact? And do you think F1 should have kept the fastest lap point? Let's start a discussion in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any updates on the 2025 F1 season. See you in the next one.